planes and helicopter gunships. It also invalidates the warranties the British arms manufacturers sold them with. Amusingly, David Cameron was roaming around the Middle East with arms dealers, trying to flog weapons while calling for an end to violence. He's right. What these people need to solve their differences is more guns. The Tories see Gaddafi as a legitimate target for them. After all, he is elderly, Muslim, and has children. Gaddafi's also been accused of using human shields. He's going to have to do better than that. Our bombs will simply rip through them. He should have opted for steel or concrete, and they say he's a tactical genius. Yes, it's horrible that protesters are being fired on by jets. But what a way to go. Fighting a plane. It must be like unlocking a secret level of Grand Theft Auto, coded by Raoul Moat. Both sides have been accused of using rape as a weapon. The hardest part of using rape as a weapon is training the troops. The assault course is a very different thing at rape camp. You rarely see rape squads as part of military marches. You can hear David Dimbleby doing the voiceover at Trooping the Colour. Visiting from Scotland, we have the 4th Rape Squad. They've been raping for their country since 1935. They're taking the salute from the Queen. Some of them have broken ranks and are racing straight towards Her Majesty's box. And from here, I think I can see a flicker of a smile come across her face. NATO says Gaddafi's reign of terror is near an end, because we will soon have bombed everybody he's been trying to scare. That's an interesting policy. We just keep bombing everything around him, but not actually him. I presume if he gets captured, they're going to execute him by knife thrower. We were told that military action helped to prevent a bloodbath in Benghazi. Thankfully, with our help, the bloodbath happened 5 miles outside Benghazi. Libyans are gathering around military installations, not to act as human shields, but in the knowledge that it's probably the last place that NATO bombs are going to land. Surprisingly, some people in Tripoli still support NATO, the Undertakers. To most Scots, NATO's just a description of their feet after suffering a decade of type 2 diabetes. Is it wise to fill Libya with melting corpses while we look for Gaddafi? He's increasingly blending in. Gaddafi has a lot of money at his disposal. Can't have been cheap buying Michael Jackson's face after he died. He looks like the last surviving balloon from a children's party. If only he hadn't hoarded £60 billion abroad. He could have kept, say, £10 billion and used the rest to create an unbreachable defence. Right now, a colossal golden robot bear could be lapping up the protesters like ants. Its tortured attempts to sing bare necessities in machine code sounding to Libyans like a series of garbled sex threats. Our various wars are being fought purely to justify a £50 billion defence bill and maintain an army that is grossly oversized for the realistic needs of our country. Ours is the second largest military force in the EU. The last time Britain was successfully invaded was over a millennium ago, in 1066. And our military is used to attack, not to defend. Some critics of this will say that Britain has been attacked by terrorists. But we didn't need an army to prevent 7/7. We needed a bus conductor. The bombs we're dropping cost more than the buildings we're dropping them on. In financial terms, they're winning. First Sea Lord Admiral Sir Mark Stanhope says he's sure if we had enough money to send another warship, we'd have finished this conflict. Yes, Sir Mark. And if we had enough money for jobs, people could feed their kids. Who'd have thought that a navy as powerful as ours would struggle to win a war in a desert? So we sold Gaddafi weapons, and now he has more than we do. How do we get out of this sticky situation? Surely we could launch a product recall notice. An unfinished surface on the T-72 dashboard could cause a nasty cut. Please return, in person, to the nearest HM warship. Why should we believe the opinions of the First Sea Lord? I haven't trusted him since he told his daughter she couldn't marry human, and she ended up selling her voice for legs. Also, maybe saying we're running out of money to carry on isn't the best way of getting Gaddafi to surrender. Is this the big society? We all work for free to save lives, while special funding is ring-fenced to kill people. We got stuck in Iraq for 8 years. We've been stuck in Afghanistan for 10 years, and, for some reason, we've set the timetable for a conflict in Libya at 90 days. You can't even get a sofa delivered in 90 days. Gaddafi shut down all internet communications in the country, which is a pity, as there are always thousands of people trying to get on FreeCycle to pick up a coffin. Libya operated tight state control over the media. That's obvious. The rebels invited Britain to get involved in their war. They must have watched no television at all. Gaddafi banned the learning of the English language in Libyan schools, which is obviously why Libya did most of its diplomatic negotiations with the Scottish government, a succession of colourful noises with all the two parties needed to be understood. Trumping even Libya, Tunisia had the harshest internet censorship outside of China. I wonder why so few of us knew that. The Tunisian revolution started when a street vendor set fire to himself. Ian Tomlinson's inquest ended, and the British people were watching TV's most shocking talent show Moments, which was a revolution in a way, as you didn't get to vote on what won. Tunisia's revolution inspired the uprising across the Arab world, so maybe all the Arab refugees should go to Tunisia, put all the exiled revolutionaries in one country and rename it Spirited Arabia. It will have a lovely climate and be very close by plane, but the customer service will consist of someone shouting, "Don't tell me what to do!" and shooting into the ceiling. These Arab states have had to fight with their lives to install a hastily decided upon, cobbled together temporary government. We did it simply by not bothering to vote last year. The Arab League. Not a patch in the Premiership. You just can't get the ball control with sandals. It was reported that Leila Trabelsi, the wife of Tunisia's ousted ruler, left the country with 1.5 tons of gold, worth more than £35 million. The joke's on her, though, as she fled the country on EasyJet. Her baggage allowance came to just over £40 million. Israel killed a bunch of civilians in international waters for trying to bring aid to the Palestinians. According to the Israelis, their troops started shooting because people on the boat threw stones. That sounds proportionate. It's a bit like, well, someone throwing stones at you, and you executing them in cold blood with a team of commandos. 20 soldiers airdropped onto the boat from a helicopter. What surprised me is, if you type that into Google, you get a Charlie Sheen sex tape. Israel still claims land rights based on the Bible. That's a bit like me pitching a tent beside your house and saying I want your garden because it belonged to King Arthur. I pity the Palestinians. They didn't do anything to deserve what happened to them. Israel should have been given some of Germany to start a country in. Anyway, I better leave it there. I get a lot of complaints when I write jokes about Israel, mainly from the Mossad agent who has to update my file. There's a real sense of change taking place right across the Arab world, as the old rulers are removed from power, making way for a whole new set of ruthless dictators. When will these corrupt rulers come to realize that guns cannot silence the people? Only reality television and talent shows can do that. The people of Yemen have also overthrown their ruler, and now Syria is trying. The young lesbian from Syria who wrote an online blog was actually a 40-year-old fat American, as I discovered after arranging to meet her in a Travelodge car park. Despite common perceptions, lesbianism is actually becoming a more popular lifestyle choice for young women in Syria, now that all the men are dead. What are all these Middle Eastern rulers going to do now they've been chucked out of a job? Become Northern Ireland peace envoys? Back home, people are asking why other Arab leaders haven't got involved, given that most Arab countries are currently being ruled by an out-of-office email. That might be a bit of a problem. The leader of the UN wants the world to have one clear opinion. The world won't even buy the records of the X Factor winners they voted for. You expect consistency. For all that I, in my middle-class, lefty reality tunnel, imagine that people aren't behind Britain's wars, I sometimes wonder if that's true. I look at the Top Gear-style news items about the rockets we use, the computer games where we symbolically join in, and I think maybe everybody is right fucking into this. Britain sent over new Apache helicopters and Typhoons to Libya. Are we just parading what they could have bought? had they not decided to make things awkward. Our Tomahawk missiles have a camera on the front, which provides great clip show footage worth £250 a go to help pad out the defence budget. There's even talk of a couple of new ships if Channel 5's controversial "You've Been Maimed" gets the go-ahead. They use the latest sat-nav guidance system, replacing an earlier model where two mice sat in a transparent nose cone yanking at a joystick as they bickered over a tiny map. Some of our troops are to be issued with special bomb-proof pants. Yes, I can think of nothing that will ease the pain and suffering of grief-stricken parents more after being informed of the death of their son than being handed his perfectly preserved cock and balls. Meanwhile, US soldiers have started using a futuristic rifle that fires radio-controlled bullets that can travel round corners. Now they'll be able to shoot British soldiers without even aiming at them. There are strict guidelines for their use, and they'll only be sold to rogue Middle Eastern states if they're willing to pay more for them than their enemies. The US Army also wants all its troops to eventually carry military smartphones with various battlefield apps. The apps will contain all sorts of useful military information, including phrasebooks. Though if you're out of signal, a bit of paper with "You killed my wife, you Western devil," should cover most of the things you'll hear. The US Army are putting everything into this. They will have apps with training manuals and the capability to order new equipment and downloadable maps of all the enemy's positions. British soldiers will be getting a text message saying, "Duck!" Some soldiers are killed when protecting their squad, and some soldiers are killed when patrolling the streets. Future soldiers will be killed by replying slowly to a text message asking if you'll definitely be home in time for Uncle Alan's retirement party. It will take a few years before the technology is developed for every soldier to carry a military smartphone. By that time, they will probably be quite useful because we'll be placing phones in the hands of the first generation to being raised by parents with mobiles. And if there's anything to inspire a lust to kill strangers, it's being given the object that prevented your mother from looking or communicating with you for the last 18 years. I'm not sure why they say mobile phones are the weapons of the future. From where I'm standing, it looks like handing every child a cancerous stick of isolation and apathy has pretty much destroyed humanity already. The US Army also wants all American soldiers to have 24-hour internet access. It's essential for operations that they continue to be anaesthetized by porn and Tekken, even when being begged to stop throwing grenades at a school. The much-anticipated game Medal of Honor came out, but it's not realistic at all. You actually get a chance of winning, and all the equipment works. The next one, however, promises to be just like the real thing. It takes 27 years to complete, and whenever your character dies, you get a crappy, badly spelt letter from the Prime Minister. There was outrage because of plans to let you play as the Taliban. You can't ban a game that has fighters in it just because they kill British soldiers. What about all the ones with US troops in? I'm quite advanced at it. The thing to do is be the Taliban. Then, when you get to stage 3, sneak off and hide in a British coffin. Next thing you know, you can be pumping bullets into the till girl at Summerfields and Wootton Bassett. France and Britain signed a treaty to share aircraft carriers. One week we'll put nothing on them, then the next week France will put nothing on them. Having a military agreement with France feels like getting help with your school homework from Peter Andre. At a joint conference, French military chiefs told their UK counterparts they were looking forward to the cost-saving consolidation of their respective forces, and the English ones replied, "Hello, my name John is what I'm called, and my hobby I am cinema watching." David Cameron insists budget cuts won't affect our fighting capabilities. We'll keep losing. The army has to lose 7,000 soldiers. Probably the best way to do this is to put them on joint military manoeuvres with the Americans. I'm just worried that with thousands of unemployed troops, and Simon Cowell with a spare £100 million,